It's easy to confuse care with control. Someone appears claiming to protect you. They do everything out of love. They make decisions without asking for your opinion. They talk as if they know what's best. They warn you that they are helping, but they don't ask if that's what you want. They anticipate, invade, suffocate, and call it concern. But care that constrains is not care. Helping isn't the same as silencing. Loving doesn't mean dominating. Before you realize it, you're no longer making choices. You no longer feel in control of yourself. You can't take a deep breath without looking around. You no longer live. You obey. That's not protection, that's erasure. No one needs to be saved all the time. No one. You're not born to live under orders disguised as affection. You need freedom to exist fully. Those who love set you free. Those who control fear losing you. No one wakes up one day and chooses to be diminished. It happens slowly. At first, it seems like care. It seems like attention. It seems like love. But suffocating care is not protection. It's control. It's a need to have power over someone else. And you know what's even more cruel? This comes wrapped in pretty words. I want the best for you. I did this because I care. If it was someone else, I wouldn't do half as much. Such phrases confuse you. They make you think the problem is your doubt. They fill you with guilt for wanting space. But there's no space where the other person occupies everything. There's no voice when silence is imposed as peace. There's no identity where everything has to pass approval. No one needs to shrink to fit someone else's limits. No one needs to dim their light for someone else to shine. Love doesn't demand submission. It doesn't require silence. It doesn't ask you to give up yourself. If something makes you lose your essence, it's not love. If something drains your inner strength, it's not protection. If something hurts your freedom of choice, it's not care. It's manipulation. It's emotional domination. It's about control, not connection. And the most dangerous part of all this? Many don't realize it. Because they've been taught to accept, to not confront, to be grateful for someone so present. But presence that suffocates is a burden. A presence that imposes, oppresses. A presence that won't let you breathe, that hurts. And no one deserves to live like this. It is essential to understand. No one has the right to shape another person according to their insecurities. No one has the right to dictate what someone can or cannot feel. No one has the right to silence the desires of others. And yet, many accept this, because they are afraid of losing, because they confuse love with dependency, because they believe they need someone to decide for you. But that is not strength, that is imprisonment. When you need to hide what you think to avoid conflict, something is wrong. When you apologize for feeling, something is wrong. When you diminish yourself to keep someone close, something is wrong. When you feel afraid to speak your own truth, something is very wrong. Freedom is not a luxury, it is a basic need, and true love never demands the loss of it. So it's time to stop and look straight ahead, not at the other person, but at yourself. It's time to recognize how much you've already lost, how much you've already silenced, how much you've let slip by. There's no point in waiting for the other to notice. There's no point in hoping they will change. You need to decide for yourself, for your own sanity, for your own existence. Because continuing to fade away to keep someone close only leads to emptiness, and no affection can compensate for abandoning yourself. They say that those who love, care. But loving is not domesticating. It is not teaching the other to live under unspoken rules. It is not judging every step. It is not pointing out where they should or shouldn't be. Loving is allowing. It is creating space. It is trusting that the other has the ability to exist on their own. But those who need to control everything live in fear. Fear of losing. Fear of not being enough. Fear of not being the center. And then they turn that fear into vigilance, into jealousy, into unilateral decisions, into suggestions that sound like orders, into advice that are in fact demands. This isn't about a villain, but it's also not about someone innocent, because those who truly love listen, accept the no, accept the space, accept the individuality. But when everything turns into a game of emotional control, lightness is lost. Life is lived under tension, trying to predict what the other will think, weighing words, avoiding conflicts, apologizing for having desires, and that is not love. It's disguised fear. It's disguised weariness. It's a toxic connection that feeds silence. Those who control with care manipulate. Those who say, "I do this for you," but demand something in return, negotiate affection. Those who position themselves as saviors turn the other into a victim, even if they never asked for salvation. And therein lies the problem, because the person who sees themselves as the hero will always think they are right. They will convince themselves that the other needs them, and they will keep invading, interfering, making decisions. And what about the other? They become smaller. They lose strength. They start to believe they might indeed be incapable. They get used to the shadows. They forget the light they once had, until there is nothing left but the presence of the other. Life becomes a reflection of someone else's will, and that will never be fair, nor right, nor healthy. It takes courage to face this head-on. Courage to say enough, even when there are feelings involved, even when there is still affection. Because love by itself is not enough. You can't live on love alone. Respect is needed. Freedom is needed. Space is needed to exist. If there is none of this, there is no life, there is survival, and no one was born to just endure. It's common to hear that relationships require effort, but what few say is that this effort cannot be one-sided. It cannot come only from those who remain silent, only from those who retreat, only from those who give up themselves. When everything revolves around the well-being of just one person, something is unbalanced. When only one side can make mistakes, vent, explode, decide, and the other can only accept that is not partnership. It's emotional domination. It's a disguised use of connection. And the truth is harsh, but it needs to be said. No one has the right to use their love as a tool for control. It's not love when it imposes fear. It's not love when it demands obedience. It's not love when the other person ceases to exist as an individual and becomes merely an extension of someone else's will. It's about power. It's about having total control over the narrative. It's about feeding one's own security on the insecurity of another. And if this seems exaggerated, pay attention to the small signs. Notice how conversations are conducted. Observe if there is space for disagreement. Notice if it's possible to say no without feeling fear. Check if there's still room to want something without guilt. Many people don't realize how much they are being manipulated, because manipulation doesn't scream, it whispers. It uses affection as distraction. It offers protection to justify entrapment. And little by little, it erases the sense of reality. The person starts to doubt themselves. They begin to think it's an exaggeration, that they are being ungrateful, that perhaps they really deserve this kind of love. But love doesn't demand self-neglect. It doesn't require hiding to be accepted. It doesn't ask you to bow your head to keep the peace. And yes, it's possible to feel suffocated, even when the other person swears they love you. It's possible to lose your own identity, even when there is too much care. It's possible to feel trapped in a relationship that appears perfect from the outside and unbearable from the inside. It's not the tone of voice that defines whether there is abuse. It's the silent impact this has day after day. It's the invisible weight that you carry without being able to name it. That's why it's important to name it, to acknowledge it, to see it even when it hurts. See it even when there is still attachment. See it, because continuing to deny it only prolongs your own disappearance. Seeing hurts, but pretending not to see destroys. Because while trying to maintain appearances, something inside begins to die. First, it's the voice, then the will, then the spark, then the ability to recognize yourself in the mirror. And this happens slowly, silently. Little by little, less is asked for. Little by little, less is expected. Little by little, less is lived. Until one day, you no longer dream. You just survive. All in the name of an idea that was sold as love, but has always tasted like prison. It's common to hear, "But he does everything for me. He just wants to protect me. He has a tough way, but he loves me. He doesn't let me go out alone because he cares. He only got angry because I went out without telling him. He raises his voice, but he's never hit me." These phrases are desperate attempts to justify what has already been understood deep down. They are verbal armors to hide the pain. But no justification will turn control into care. No explanation will turn possession into affection. No excuse will erase the burden of living in fear of oneself. It's useless to wait for the pain to lessen with time. It just moves around. It lodges in the body. It becomes exhaustion. It becomes anguish. It becomes apathy. It becomes illnesses that medicine can't explain. Because the body feels what the mind tries to hide, and it screams when it can no longer be silenced. No one can endure living in a crouched position for too long. There comes a moment when you either choose or you break. And choosing yourself is not selfish, it's survival. It's the only true way to exist. Those who truly love themselves understand that they deserve more than a love that diminishes them, more than a company that drains them, more than someone who only feels secure by controlling the other. It's necessary to relearn how to breathe alone, to decide, to exist outside of someone's shadow. This doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with one step: to see, to admit, to name. Because as long as you live in denial, nothing changes. But when you look with courage, something inside begins to awaken. And once awakened, you don't go back to sleep the same way. Consciousness doesn't regress. It bothers. It insists. It pushes. And no matter how hard you try to return to the comfort of submission, it no longer fits. Because now you know. And those who know don't forget. Once you see clearly, there's no turning back. There may be relapses, there may be doubts, but deep down you already know that is no longer your place. Because a place that demands silence to exist is not a home. It's a minefield. What holds you is no longer convincing. What hurts can no longer be disguised. What once felt like care now burns. Now it weighs down. Now it suffocates. And it doesn't matter what outsiders say. Advice doesn't help. Warnings don't matter, because true breaking away starts from within. When something snaps. When you realize it can't go on. When even without knowing what to do, you recognize that continuing would be a betrayal against yourself. That's when everything starts to change. In the silence of the end of acceptance. In the pause between the pain and the decision. In that exact moment when you understand, I wasn't made to live by negating myself. It's at this point that fear changes places. Before it was the fear of losing the other. Now it's the fear of losing yourself. And that changes everything. Because the fear of losing yourself is stronger. It's visceral. It's the urgency of someone tired of living half-heartedly. It's not easy to leave. The bond is heavy. Guilt surfaces. Nostalgia deceives. Memory selectively recalls only what comforts. But still, something inside no longer stays silent. And then comes reconstruction. Slow. Hard. Lonely sometimes. But necessary. Relearning to walk on your own 2 feet. Relearning to listen to your own voice. Relearning to appreciate your own silence. Relearning to exist without needing to be someone's. Because freedom hurts at first. It's frightening, it brings insecurity. But soon it becomes air, it becomes presence, it becomes strength. And it's in the midst of internal chaos that you find something that external control tried to erase. The ability to choose yourself. The strength to rise. The dignity to no longer accept the bare minimum. It's not about becoming a stone, nor about hating the other. It's about seeing yourself clearly. It's about understanding that true love has nothing to do with suffocation. It's about making peace with your own existence, with your own story, with your own voice. It's about never allowing anyone to use love as an excuse to hurt, stifle, or silence. Those who truly love don't erase. Those who truly love don't demand submission. Those who truly love don't confuse protection with possession. And those who love themselves don't accept less than that. When one decides to leave, the world doesn't applaud. Many will say it was an overreaction, that they could have waited longer, that he wasn't that bad, that at least there was someone, that others are in worse situations. And that's when many go back, out of fear, out of guilt, out of exhaustion from having to explain the invisible. But no one is obligated to understand what only those who have lived it know. Those who feel the weight of being controlled don't need to justify their escape. Escaping from a place that makes you sick is survival. It's clarity. Love isn't measured by how much you can endure, nor by how much you swallow in silence. True love doesn't demand sacrifices of your own identity. Those who had to give up parts of themselves to maintain a we were never in a relationship. They were part of a system. And systems don't love. Systems operate, they drain. And in the end, they destroy. That's why breaking free is more than an act of courage. It's rebirth. It's admitting that living in the shadows is no longer an option. It's naming the pain. It's returning what was never yours. It's stopping the burden of others' fears, others' needs, others' control. After the end comes the emptiness. Yes, but also the silence that heals, the solitude that strengthens, the reunion with a version of yourself that was silenced for so long. Little by little, the voice begins to regain its volume. Little by little, the body unlearns fear. Little by little, desires no longer feel like sin, and what once seemed impossible, living without anyone's permission, becomes the air you breathe. It's not about becoming a wall, it's about being whole, it's about never negotiating your own peace to keep someone by your side. For those who want to stay, let them stay with honesty, with freedom, with respect, with presence that doesn't weigh you down, with love that doesn't control. Time will prove that no one needs to bow to deserve affection. No one needs to walk on eggshells to avoid conflict. No one was born to live under command. Loving is not about erasing. Loving is not about diminishing. Loving is not about demanding a choice between one's freedom and the company of someone else. Loving is space. It's permanence without possession. It's giving without conditions. And those who understand this don't go back. They don't settle for less. They don't negotiate the essentials. No one needs to live under control. Choose your freedom. Share what this has awakened in you. Subscribe to the channel and like this video now.